Okay, we are on our last video, video 3.4 for Module 3, and you should have just completed exercises 3.6 and 3.7 and 3.8 in the module. This all should have been very familiar because basically you were asked to design a spreadsheet that generates the weeks and savings, Nathan's savings, in such a manner that you are allowed to change the gift and the allowance and to have the changes in the gift and the allowance reflected in the savings. And we've seen how to do this. There's the formula. You fix the B2 cell containing the allowance and the B1 cell containing the gift. That will drag down exactly the way you want it to, and we have seen that changing things in these cells will appropriately reflect changes in the savings column. Okay. The only difference is that we've made a graph of this. So I did select the information in here. Okay, I inserted a chart, and I added just a couple of vertical grid lines, but there's the chart for you. You can see that this is basically representing the relationship between the weeks and savings. And I want you to pay attention for a minute to what happens. I am going to change the gift, and I want you to pay attention to what happens to the axes when I change these these quantities here. So, for example, if I change the gift to $10, watch the vertical axis. We know that the tables are working well, but watch the axes. Notice that there was a change. Look at this. The vertical axis is now going from 0 to 35 instead of going from 0 to 30, and everything kind of got shifted up. This is because, here, I'll make a little change here in the allowance. Watch the axes, watch them. Now we're going from 0 to 70, and the line has changed, but we can't really see what's happening with the line. The reason for this is because Excel, the spreadsheet is, things are definitely being reflected nicely in the table, but the spreadsheet is changing the axes to kind of adjust for the changes that we're making in the data, and we actually don't want that to happen. What we want to change by itself is just the line. We don't want the axes and the scales to change when we make these changes here. So in order to basically fix the axes so that nothing happens to them when we make changes, let me put things back here to 5 and 2, our initial conditions. That's not the initial conditions, that's where we started. We've seen this, we've seen what to do here. I'm just going to repeat this. Double click and bring up this window, okay? And go to the scale option. And basically, guys, when you have these checked, that means that these will automatically, see the auto there? That means that these will automatically change to adjust to any changes that you make. So you know what? Uncheck the min and the max if you want to. Just unchange the min and the max. You can uncheck as much as you want, but unchecking the min and the max does pretty much a good job for me. And now those are going to stay fixed. They're not going to change when we change them. Okay, so the vertical axis is now fixed. Come here, uncheck that vertical axis, still check on your chart, but now go to the horizontal axis. Once again, go to the scale, and I don't want these, this is the auto check. I don't want those to automatically change. I want them to stay fixed. I want them to stay at 012. I don't want them to adjust when I make changes. But now watch the changes. I'm going to change the gift from $5 to $10, and watch what happens to the line when I do this. From $5 to $10, watch. The line just jumped up, and it stayed the same. And that is exactly what should happen to the line. Here, you've changed your initial condition from 0 to 10, and all it did was jump up straight from here right up to here. If you make your initial condition, change it to, say, $2, watch the line, watch it closely. Jumps straight down. All it's doing is jumping straight down. Nothing else is changing, okay? This change in the gift basically changes the y-intercept. This is the initial condition right along here, and it changes the y-intercept. Our table is changing just fine, but now our line is changing to reflect what's happening too, and we can tell that changing the gift, that changing the y-intercept, doesn't change the steepness of the line, but it does change where the line starts. Okay? How about the allowance? Suppose that Nathan is getting $10 a week. We go up from $2 a week to $10 a week. What happens? Look at that line. It became much steeper than it was before. Look at this. Starting at 2, that is a much flatter line. Make it 10. That is a much steeper line. You see that? Let's bring the gift down to $5. So you can see that the line is just so much steeper. If we change the allowance to just $1 a week, watch what's going to happen to the line. It gets much, much flatter. Just gets completely flat. You see that? What would happen if we made the allowance $0? He doesn't get anything. Watch what happens. His savings stay fixed. Nothing grows. It just stays at $5. Nothing happens. But this is completely reflecting what happens. Remember, this allowance represents the slope of this line. The higher the slope is, the steeper the line is. Okay, the more money he's getting, the steeper the line is going to be to represent that the growth in the savings is happening faster. The less money he's getting, the flatter the line is going to be to represent a slowed down growth in his savings. Okay, so just remember, when you want the line to move, when you want your graph to move appropriately, please fix the axes along your graph. Your table is already responding the way you want it to because you've taken that extra measure to absolute reference those cell references. And now everything else is also, you can see everything happening simultaneously, changes in savings along with changes in the line. Okay? That's the end of Module 3.